My question is, share a moment with your partner that significantly shifted your way of thinking or your worldview.
I mean, I think that it was probably 3 years ago when, so I had worked for an organization that did, systemic reform in school systems, charter schools and traditional school systems. And, even though we felt like, we had the data on our side at every turn,
Right.
around teacher evaluation, around teacher training, we started to see around multiple communities a lot of pushback. And when I came together with a group of leaders who are still involved with education leaders of color, we talked a lot about how we did not fall into one of the camps, right? We sort of like were believed in sort of different ways of approaching the work. And specifically when we talked about, this like pro-union versus anti-union,
Right.
we talked about how many of our families had been beneficiaries of having strong unions,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
And it was really eye-opening for me because it really made me think, we can't be so, we can't succumb to the pull of like one of the poles, and we really need to lead in a different way. So if you ask any teacher, what do you really, the reason they got into it was because they wanted to teach kids. Like that's what they wanted.
Kids, and they wanted the kids to succeed.
Exactly. And I think that the fact that we just sort of put a lot of reforms in place, and rather than spending the time to build with, we bulldozed our way in.
Right.
And I think that really hurt us in the long end. So one, it's about aligning these leaders according to a set of values that includes doing with communities, not doing to communities.
Right.
It's also around aligning folks around really focusing on multiple innovations and leading above the polarization. So what we have right now in the field is sort of like these polar opposites, right? You either are pro-union or anti-union.
Exactly.
You're either pro-charter or anti-charter.
Right.
But most of the people that we find that really align to our values say, I just want great schools for kids.
Exactly.
I don't care about the governance structure,
Right.
and I'm going to lead in that way.
One thing that in the area of education that significantly influenced my view was I got the privilege to meet what I think is a visionary educator, and that's Saul Khan of Khan Academy. And I'm on his leadership council. And as a venture capitalist, I'm not smart enough to say you've got a great business plan or you don't have a great business plan. What I have to rely on is you as a person, as a person that I think can create a new for-profit or non-profit organization and who I have confidence on can move ahead. Saul Khan really changed my view of education because he makes the case that in America the K through 12 education system was really designed back in 1900 and hasn't changed much.
Correct.
Since the start of the Industrial Revolution. And so his concepts of flipping the classroom
Right.
and of individual learning and individual paced learning. And I've seen it now work through the lens of Khan Academy. It'll take a long time before the school districts of America adopt it as standard practice. But he is convinced that if we don't adopt some of those practices,
Right.
and he's educating his two own children in a lab school next to Khan Academy. So he's convinced that some of those practices can really move us ahead
Right.
in learning.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether it's for poor or rich or white or African American or Hispanic, it's applicable across the board.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he changed
Yeah.
my future optimism about
Yeah.
America.